King Big. In a small village on the outskirts of a dusty town lived a boy named Ion. Life had never been easy for him. His house was a tiny mud hut with a leaking roof, and his family survived on what little they earned each day. Ion's father had passed away when he was very young, leaving his mother to raise him alone. To support his mother, Ion worked as a fruit carrier, carrying heavy sacks of oranges and guavas on his thin shoulders from the nearby farms to the local market. Every morning before sunrise, Ion tied a cloth around his waist, lifted a large sack of fruits onto a wooden stick, and began walking toward the market. His bare feet touched the hot, uneven ground, but he never complained. People in the village often looked at him with pity and said, "This boy is born poor. This is his fate." But Ion did not believe that. Though his body was small, his dreams were big. Whenever he passed by the main road, he saw well-dressed men going to offices in cars and buses. One man, in particular, caught his attention. He was tall, confident, and always wore a neat suit while carrying a briefcase. Ion often stopped and stared at him, imagining what his life must be like. One day, as Ion rested by the roadside, that same man noticed him staring and smiled. "Why do you look at me every day, son?" the man asked kindly. Ion stood up nervously and replied, "Sir, I wonder how it feels to live your life." The man laughed softly. "And how do you think my life is?" Ion hesitated, then said honestly, "You look important. You look successful. I think you are free." The man sat beside him. "My name is Mr. Ramon," he said. "And tell me, what do you want to become?" People had asked Ion this question before, but always with a mocking tone. This time felt different. He straightened his back and said firmly, "I want to be someone who changes his life and helps others. I don't want to carry sacks forever." Mr. Ramon looked surprised but pleased. "That is a big thought for a small boy," he said. Ion smiled. "Sir, thinking is free. So why think small?" Mr. Ramon was silent for a moment. Then he nodded. "You are right. The biggest prison is a small mindset." From that day on, Mr. Ramon began stopping to talk to Ion whenever he passed by. He learned that Ion had never gone to school, but he loved learning. At night, Ion would listen to older boys reading newspapers and remember new words. He asked questions about the world, businesses, cities, and inventions. One evening, Mr. Ramon brought Ion an old notebook and a pen. "Write your thoughts," he said. "Dreams become clearer when written." Ion took the notebook like it was treasure. That night, by the dim light of an oil lamp, he wrote his first sentence. "I may be poor today, but I will not stay poor forever." Days turned into months. Ion continued his hard work during the day but spent evenings learning from Mr. Ramon. He learned basic English, math, and most importantly, how to think differently. Mr. Ramon taught him that success begins in the mind. "Most people fail," Mr. Ramon said one day, "not because they lack ability, but because they think small. They aim low so they never feel disappointed." Ion remembered those words. Years passed. Ion grew taller and stronger, but he refused to let his dreams shrink. He saved every extra coin he earned. Instead of spending money on useless things, he invested it wisely. With guidance from Mr. Ramon, he bought a small fruit cart. The villagers laughed. From carrying sacks to selling fruits, they said, "What difference does it make?" But Ion ignored them. He had started thinking like an owner, not a laborer. He treated customers with respect, offered fresh fruits, and learned pricing strategies. Slowly, his cart became popular. With time, he added more carts and hired other boys from poor families. One evening, as Ion counted his earnings, he realized something important. Thinking big had changed not only his future, but also his actions. Instead of saying, "I can't," he asked, "How can I?" Years later, Ion opened a fruit distribution company supplying markets across the city. He wore simple clothes, but his confidence was stronger than any suit. The same road where he once walked barefoot now saw him driving to meetings. One day, Ion stood on the roadside, the same place where he had once met Mr. Ramon. A young boy carrying a heavy sack passed by. Their eyes met. Ion stopped him and asked gently, "What do you want to become?" The boy shrugged. "Whatever fate decides." Ion smiled and placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. "No, fate listens to those who think big." He told the boy his story and handed him a notebook. That evening, Ion visited his old village. The people who once doubted him now respected him. But Ion remained humble. He rebuilt the village school and offered free education to poor children. Standing in front of the children, Ion said, "Remember one thing, your background does not decide your future. Your thinking does." As the sun set behind the village, Ion looked at the sky and smiled. He had learned the greatest lesson of life. Big dreams start with big thinking.